What's up my friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we're making the Miami Vice two ways. I think it's always super fun when we take a cocktail that has kind of a bad reputation and we try to make something cooler out of it. The thing is, the Miami Vice is already a pretty good drink. The only bad thing about the Miami Vice is its reputation, because it comes from the 90s when everything was meant to be served in extremely large batches, in clubs, with cheap ingredients, overly sweet sour mix, blah, all that bad stuff. But when you think about it, the Miami Vice is actually a blended Piña Colada mixed with a blended Strawberry Daiquiri. And when you look at any documentation that teach how to pair ingredients together, pineapple and strawberries are always a perfect match. Plus, the two drinks are made out of rum, so it's kind of natural to put them together. So today we're gonna make the classic Miami Vice with just a couple of tweaks to make it even better, and then we're gonna give it a little Truffles on the rocks treatment to make it a little bit next level. So without further ado, if you guys are ready, let's go. Alright, so like I said, the traditional Miami Vice is a blended cocktail, and there's one thing with blended cocktail that you need to keep in mind if you want to make it perfect. It's the addition of a stabilizer. When you don't use a stabilizer in blended cocktails, they tend to separate really quickly. So you're gonna have a melted layer at the bottom and the frozen part on top, and really, it's not super convenient. But when you use a stabilizer like Xanthan gum, just a pinch of it makes a world of a difference. You're gonna be able to go through all your cocktail without seeing it separating, which is kind of magic. This bar hack was brought to us by Garrett Richard, who recently released a book with a lot of information, tips and tricks, especially for tiki cocktails. So if that's something you're into, I'm gonna link his book in the description below. That being said, for the ingredients for the traditional Miami Vice is, for both cocktails, obviously light white rum. For the Piña Colada side, we're gonna need freshly pressed pineapple juice, coconut syrup. The description is gonna be in the show notes, but you can also watch this video. And then we're also gonna need full-fat coconut milk. For the strawberry daiquiri part, we're gonna need some fresh strawberries, lime juice, and simple syrup. Then for both cocktails, we're gonna need just a little bit of Xanthan gum as our stabilizer. And we're also gonna add in both of them a couple of drops of 20% saline solution to make the flavors even more vibrant. Now, of course, since we're making two blended cocktails at the same time, it would be more convenient if you had two blenders, but if, like me, you don't have two blenders, here's how you can pull it out. So first, in your blender, you're gonna add 1.5 ounces or 45 mils of your rum, 2 ounces or 60 mils of freshly pressed pineapple juice, 3/4 ounce or 22.5 mils of coconut syrup, again 3/4 ounce or 22.5 mils of our full-fat coconut milk, 3 drops of the saline solution, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of Xanthan gum. I'm telling you guys, just a little bit goes a long way. Then we're gonna weight 150 grams of ice, and here the quantity is crucial, since all the ice will be incorporated to the cocktail rather than being used just to chill and dilute like when we shake or when we stir. Adding too much ice would result in a cocktail that's watered down and dull. Then we're simply gonna blend this at high speed until smooth, and because I only have one blender, I'm gonna pour this in my shaker tin and place it in the freezer while I make the other one. While the Piña Colada is waiting for us in the freezer, we're gonna make our strawberry daiquiri, and we're gonna start again with 1.5 ounces or 45 mils of our rum. To that, we're gonna add 6 to 8 strawberries. I believe it's hard to add too much here, but 6 to 8 is usually my sweet spot. Then we're gonna add 3/4 ounce or 22.5 mils of freshly squeezed lime juice, the same quantity of simple syrup, 3 drops of our saline solution, and the same amount, 1/8 of a teaspoon of Xanthan gum. We're also gonna do the exact same thing for the ice. We're gonna weight 150 grams of it before adding it to the blender. We're gonna blend it at high speed until smooth, And now we're ready to build the cocktail. At this stage, what I like to do with the cocktail we placed in the freezer while making the other one is just to stir it a little bit with a bar spoon to make it smoother. That way, it's just gonna be easier when you're gonna pour them in your tiki mug. I always like to pour them simultaneously, that way they incorporate quite well, but at the same time they make cool layers, which is what we want with a Miami Vice. For the garnish, I'm just gonna add a piece of pineapple and a strawberry, and there you have it, the Miami Vice. Cheers.
5 minutes later.
I gotta stop. Gotta get a brain freeze and I have another cocktail to make. But really, this drink, when you start drinking it, it's super hard to stop because it's just pure fun in the glass. It's fruity, tropical, light, and refreshing. When it's made properly, the Miami Vice is just a masterpiece. But if you want to take it to another level, that's what we're gonna do next. For this one, we're gonna make a clarified Piña Colada that we're gonna top with a Strawberry Daiquiri and coconut foam to emphasize on the layer aspect of things, but we're gonna keep everything in the same flavor spectrum. Because the clarification is the longest step in this cocktail, that's what we're gonna start with. So for the ingredients, we're gonna need, once again, light white rum, fresh pineapple juice, the same coconut syrup, organic coconut water, full-fat coconut milk, fresh lime juice, and our 20% saline solution. So first, in a glass container, we're gonna add 4 ounces or 120 ml of light white rum, 6 ounces or 180 ml of fresh pineapple juice, 2 ounces or 60 ml of our coconut water, the same amount of our coconut syrup, 1 ounce or 30 ml of fresh lime juice, and 6 drops of the saline solution. In another container, we're gonna add 2 ounces or 60 ml of our full-fat coconut milk, and we're gonna pour our mixture over the milk. When using coconut milk for the clarification, I like to leave it resting about 15 to 20 minutes before starting the filtration. So once you're ready, you're gonna pour your mixture over a fine mesh strainer covered with 1 layer of coffee filter and 1 nylon nut milk bag. This is not the prettiest device, but so far throughout all my experiments, this is the one that gets me the fastest and best result. The first couple of ounces will be cloudy, and that's totally normal. It's because you need to leave some time to the curdles to set at the bottom of the filter to make a proper filtration bed. Then after a couple of minutes, you will see the liquids dripping will start to be clear. That's your cue to switch vessels. So you're gonna take your filtration device and place it on top of a clean bowl. Wait for a couple of minutes, and then re-pour the cloudy mixture over the unfiltered mixture. Then all you have to do is to wait until the whole mixture is fully filtered and clarified. This batch will yield about 400 ml, which is good for about 3 servings, and you can always scale this recipe up or down the way you want. All you need to do is to multiply or divide all the ingredients by the same ratio. Clarified milk punches like this are shelf stable, which means you can keep them almost forever. What I like to do is to bottle them up and place it in the fridge, so whenever I'm thirsty, I can pour myself a couple of ounces over a big block of ice and call it a day. But now we need to make our strawberry daiquiri and coconut foam, so I'm gonna set that aside for a couple of minutes, and we're gonna make our foam. To make it, we're gonna need, once again, light white rum, a good quality strawberry syrup. You can make it from scratch, but if you want to save yourself the hassle, today I'm using Real, which is a brand I just discovered, and I must say I love it. The flavor is perfect. It's really easy to use because the sweetness is perfect to balance the same amount of acidity, like 1 part of this with 1 part of lime is perfectly balanced. And I think it's widely available, which is something I love when I recommend something to you guys. Then we also gonna need some organic unsweetened coconut water, fresh lime juice, xanthan gum as our stabilizer, methyl cellulose as our emulsifier, and a 20% saline solution. First step will be to add our ingredients to a blender, and we're gonna start with 200 ml of our coconut water. Next, we're gonna juice 100 ml of lime juice and the same amount of our strawberry syrup. I like to mix it with my lime juice before adding it. It just makes it easier to make sure we're not gonna lose any. Then we're gonna add 30 ml of white rum, 2.4 grams of methyl cellulose, 0.7 grams of xanthan gum, and 6 drops of our saline solution. Next, we're gonna blend this at high speed for 30 seconds. It's gonna help the emulsifier and stabilizer to incorporate properly in the mixture. Then we're gonna pour it in a 500 ml cream whipper, charge it with an NO2 cartridge, shake it vigorously for about 30 seconds, and place it in the fridge at least 1 hour before using it. I recommend you use it within 3 to 4 days if you want to make sure to have the best texture. And speaking of texture, because of the methyl cellulose and the xanthan, it is perfectly fluffy and stable. Look at this one, for example. I just filled that beaker about 3 hours ago and it's still perfectly foamy. So now we're ready for the final step. So we're gonna grab our mixing glass, add 4 ounces of the punch, add some ice and stir it for about 10 to 15 seconds. It's a little bit controversial to stir a clarified milk punch because some people say that the way incorporated in the cocktail acts kind of as dilution, but I personally think it just tastes better. It opens up the flavors and it makes it brighter. So I always like to stir it just a little bit. Next, we're gonna strain the cocktail over a big block of clear ice and top it with our foam. And there you have it, my friends, the Miami Vice 2.0. Cheers. Wow, what I absolutely love about this drink is the fact that the foam provides just enough tartness to balance the sweetness of the Piña Colada. And with every sip, because of the perfect layer, you get a little bit of both cocktails. I love it, and I hope you're gonna love it too. So my friends, this is it for me today. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe before we go. Turn that bell if you wanna make sure not to miss the next one. Until then, thank you very much again. Have a great day, and see you very soon. Cheers. That's good.